Good morning. I'm Brian Garrett. I'm the head PGA golf professional and general manager at Anderson Country Club here in Anderson, Indiana. I'm going to do a tip of the week for who'syourgolfer.com. I'm excited to be here. Unfortunately, it's raining outside this morning, so I'm going to do our little presentation indoors. I'm going to talk about wedges, short game, and most importantly, bounce. A lot of people have probably heard about bounce and what it does on your wedges and what kind of cause and effect you have around the greens. And I think it can help you today because a lot of the shots, although putting and chipping are the majority of the shots used around the green, it's really a lot easier to score lower, take your rounds in the low 90s, maybe down to the low 80s by chipping the ball closer, not sculling it over the green, or not chili dipping it right in front of you. And I think that learning about wedges and bounce can help you. So one of the things that I'm going to do today is talk to you a little bit about bounce. Bounce is the relationship of the trailing edge to the leading edge. And the way I like to say it is the more bounce is the more forgiveness in the golf club. I would say of the people I see, at least 75% of them need bounce. For those players, if you do your reading online on Vokey or any of the other wedge short game sites, it'll say, you know, if you are a real digger of the golf ball, which means the shaft is leaning forward, the leading edge is going, you're basically taking a wedge that might be lofted at 60 degrees and leaning it forward, making it 55 degrees. That bounce back here will help you from digging. While that is very true and is very helpful, just because you are a steep swinger of the golf club or you lean the shaft forward doesn't mean that you are the only kind of player that needs bounce. As I was mentioning, 75% of the players I have seen require bounce. This is a 54-degree 10, which is kind of a mid bounce. I don't have a low bounce option in my shop, and I'll explain why here in a minute. Very few players, and those players that do, the true pickers of the golf ball that can deliver the club at a very consistent angle and really pick the ball off with a very shallow divot, if any at all. Those are usually very, very skilled players or players that deliver those shots at a consistent angle. So there are not too many players that you would fit necessarily into that low bounce. One of the nice things about bounce is it's good out of the bunkers, so it'll help you keep from digging, right? It's also pretty good out of the rough. It'll help that leading edge from catching too soon. Obviously, the USGA requires us to have a certain amount of clubs in our bag. That number is 14. So when you're getting fit for your wedges, typically you either have one or two wedges at the bottom of your golf bag that you're using for shots around the green, bunkers, lob wedges. Some people use one, some people use two. It just kind of depends on where your gapping is. Most iron sets today go down to an A wedge or a pitching wedge, which is a strong lofted. So it's really important to make sure that the first wedge you have in your bag is a versatile wedge that you can hit with full shots and have appropriate gapping, because that's where you spend most of your shots. And also making sure that that same wedge can be used around the greens for other versatile shots. You can learn more about grinds and so forth by consulting your local PGA professional or getting fit. That could be another episode for me maybe in the future. But I think it's important to make sure that you get the appropriate bounce on your wedges. I would say 30% of guys probably need the high bounce, probably 50% need the mid bounce, and 20% actually would use the low bounce. Obviously, if I could carry all wedges, I would carry a low bounce wedge for certain tight lies that I want to pick it right off. I would carry a big wide bounce. It's called K with Vokey. It's called wide with Callaway. It's called high bounce with TaylorMade. It looks a lot like that for bunker play. I would also use it if the ball were sitting a little higher in the rough. And then I would have a 64-degree wedge that I could slip underneath and hit the highest lob shot possible. Unfortunately, USGA says 14 clubs, so you got to be really particular about your wedge shots and be particular about your short game shots, because that's where you spend most of your shots in a round of golf. This is Brian Garrett again from Anderson Country Club. I hope you enjoyed my presentation on bounce. You can contact me at Anderson Country Club at brian@andersoncountryclub.net, or you can follow me on Twitter at Brian Garrett, at Brian Garrett PGA. Thank you very much. I hope all of you have a great rest of the summer.